Hi, I'm Kitty, and for those who don't know and they're new, I run a production company in California, as well as play with camera gear from time to time. Today we got the Leica Q2. Now, I believe that inspiration could come from anywhere. When I was hearing from different types of people who aren't even related about this concept called shadow, I definitely wanted to look more into it. Personally, I just been feeling this sort of way where I'm just exhausted fighting my own mind. So I wanted to look into this and learn more about the shadow self. Now, I've never used a Leica before, even though it's been one of my dream cameras. And when I was first testing it out, I was looking through all the different picture profiles, and I was just so in love with the monochromatic black and white, because it was just so drool worthy. And then at the time, I didn't really have an idea for the video, but eventually my two interests combined, and I wanted to do a story that was completely black and white. Now let me talk about this camera a bit. It has a full frame sensor, a 28mm fixed lens with 1.7 aperture. It could also be switched into macro mode, which is quite interesting. You have 47 megapixels for photo and 4K, 24 frames per second or 30 frames per second for video. And then you could shoot up to 120 frames per second on HD. Now I found myself using that a lot because it does play back instantly in slow-mo. And now with the newest firmware update, you can control video in full manual mode, because before it was just full auto. If you're worried about just having a fixed lens, no need, because there are 3 crop modes. You have the 35mm, a 50mm, and a 75mm mode. Now if you're shooting in RAW, it will just show you the 28mm, but if you're shooting JPEG or video, it will crop in. And it'll give you this guide when you push this button so you could frame it correctly. It is a digital zoom, but for most of your photos, they will look really crispy because of that 47 megapixels. Speaking of RAW, it is freaking amazing. I found when editing, I could bring up the shadows with little grain or loss of quality, and I didn't have to add noise reduction like I have to do with some of my other photos. Now let's talk about that body. This body does have a bit of weight to it, and it is fully weather sealed. I took it out in the rain and I had no worries. The buttons are very customizable, and you could add several user profiles and switch between them. You do have many options to set your most used settings in the function button and the favorites page in the menu. With the new menu, photo, and video page, it makes switching a hell of a lot easier too. The battery looks like this, and it is said to have 30% more juice than the original Q, and also has the same battery as the SL. If you're planning to shoot with this all day, have 2 or 3 batteries. My biggest issue is this dang lens cap. Just the way it sits on this lens. It doesn't really lock in like other lenses, so I'm always worried when I'm walking around the street, because I'm very like run and gun with this camera and it's hanging on my neck, that it might like rub up on something or just fall off. So I'm always worried. But if you want to take this off and just put it in your pocket or your backpack, this lens does have a pretty deep hood here, so it will protect your lens. Just be extra careful to not scratch anything. So yeah, I'm always paranoid about this. Now, even though this is a photography camera, it does shoot video. So for the ones who want to learn more about the video features, there are some things that I do want to tell you that it is lacking. For one, it's very minimal and it doesn't have certain ports. Like there's no HDMI port, and there's no mic jack port or headphone jack port. So if you want to use this with a monitor, it's not gonna happen. If you do a lot of crazy angles like I tend to do, or very low angles, or getting into like certain spaces, you also can't flip this screen out. So not only can you not attach a monitor, but you can't flip the screen out. But if you're just mostly shooting like this or like this, it'll be totally fine and it won't even bother you. And then lastly, some people like dual card slots, but this one has just one. Other things to know, definitely bring extra SD cards with you. Because this shoots 47 megapixels, they take up a lot of space. I shot for a couple days already and I already have 100 gigs of photos with RAW plus JPEG. And each RAW is about like 85 megabytes per file. It's huge. Let let me tell you, the images that come out of this camera are freaking incredible. I don't even have to describe it. Just look at the test examples and you let me know in the comments below what you think. There's probably not that many things that make me happier than really good image quality. It's just so satisfying. Overall, I do love the clean, minimalistic design that Leica has always had. So is this camera worth it? Well, if you love good image quality and can afford it, why not? The video that comes out of this camera is great. You will be lacking some video features, but if that doesn't bother you, or you could work around it, then it will be something you will enjoy. It's nice to have a fixed lens because I don't have that anxiety of picking which lenses I want to bring and carry around with me. I just kind of grab this and go and shoot. I also felt extra fancy with this thing around my neck, even though literally no one around me noticed. It's like when you wear really expensive clothes and feel good about yourself, but I don't know, this feels like a very functional fashion accessory. Honestly, I would just rather wear this than another $5,000 necklace. Just saying. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to accept your shadows and find me on IG because I post there on the daily. You do you, fam, and I'll see you when I see you. Done.